Welcome back. All right, so 8 games on tonight after the 2 that were on this afternoon as we had Hockey Day in Canada. They're all Hockey Day in Canada. They had a big production of it, but every day's Hockey Day in Canada now. So, just like every day's Hockey Day in America. And some top teams lost, some bottom teams win. All makes the power rankings more entertaining later, doesn't it? All right, so first up, Boston and the Islanders. Oh, and tomorrow's preview, I've decided I'll just do it in the morning. It's only 2 games. I can just do it in the morning, put it into a news video. So, Boston and the Islanders, and, this was an important game for the Islanders. They need to defeat Boston, and they become the only team that's beaten Boston twice this year. So, there's something to be said for that. It was Rask versus Varlamov. Islanders wearing their thirds. Maybe wear those again. Early chance for Bailey. Bjork had a chance on turnover. The shots were 3-2 in favor of the Bruins at 6 minutes. And then the Bruins scored first, which might have been their mistake. Because they generally don't. It's Marchand from Bergeron and Pasternak at 8:41. But they don't maintain that lead. Pajot gets his first of 2 on the night from Pulock and Komarov at 11:36. So it's a 1-1 tie. The Bruins then almost answered. Varlamov stopped a McAvoy chance, and then about 3.5 minutes after the last goal, Eberle scores to make it 2-1 from Nelson and Mayfield at 15:16. And I thought Rask should have had that. That's one of those ones that I thought Rask probably should have stopped and didn't. The Islanders were in control of the game, and it's 2-1 Islanders after 1. Second period, the Islanders played just as well. So Boston's had slow starts to the games, right? For the last, 5-6 games? Tonight's the first time that a team didn't let them off the hook. Power play for the Bruins. They get 2 shots. Pretty strong penalty kill by the Islanders. Bruins pressed it around the half, but there were a lot of shot blocks at that point for the Islanders as well. Rask denied Lee, and then Bergeron would score late from Marchand and Pasternak at 16:51. So in a game that Boston's been outplayed, it's a 2-2 tie going to the third. Again, not unheard of this year. Normally, in the third period, the Bruins then take it over. They did press early in that period. The Islanders then get their only power play of the game, and they make it count. Barzal from Lee and Eberle at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. That makes it 3-2 for the Islanders. Varlamov then stopped a chance from Corrali. The Bruins get a power play, and that was their second. And what did the Islanders do while that power play was going on? They scored. Shorthanded marker, it's Pajot from Komarov at 14:32. Komarov with a couple of helpers. Not too bad for a guy who's been waived, right? And again, that's a paper move. It's not that they want to get rid of Komarov. But yeah, so they pull the goalie in Boston, but Boston was not winning this tonight. So the New York Islanders win at home, 4-2. They go to 6-4-3. Boston drops to 10-2-2. The shots in this one bear it out. 15-7 Islanders in the first, 15-9 Islanders in the second, 14-12 in favor of Boston in the third. Final shots, 42-30 in favor of the New York Islanders. Power plays, Boston 0-2, the Islanders 1-1. Tuukka Rask saves 38 out of 42 shots. Varlamov saves 28 out of 30. Yep, not too bad of a game by the New York Islanders, and a huge win. And they took advantage of a Boston team that had played last night. So, good going. And for the Bruins, they now got 3 goals in their last 2 games. So, that can be a conversation too. All right, Tampa. What an amazing game the Tampa Bay Lightning had tonight. And, with Stamkos out, and then the reality that Cirelli was out as well, I expected not a whole lot. And early on, that's what we got. Duclair was back in the lineup for Florida, so that's a benefit for the Panthers. And the Panthers wearing their reverse retros, which looked very sharp in game. Tampa Bay gets a power play. It registered 0 shots. There's a power play then for the Panthers. It was a 4-minute minor. Vasilevsky, very strong during that penalty kill, and the Bolts did kill that off. The shots were 6-3 for the Panthers with 6 minutes left. So Tampa Bay, in 14 minutes to start the game, held to 3 shots. It was anemic. Their attack was anemic. Things get kind of scrummy with 5:25 left. The referee takes 1 from each team, makes it a 4-on-4 play. And the Bolts' attack just wasn't there. They managed a grand total of 4 shots in the first period, so it's scoreless after 1. But you can feel like Florida was the better team. And they're not ahead, but they're the better team, so, right? Second period, Bobrovsky playing well again. wasn't that at that point. It's not a lie. Power play then for Tampa. Wenberg with a shorthanded steal, but he didn't get the shorthanded goal. What happens is a power play goal, and it's Palat that scores from Hedman and Sergachev at 4 minutes and 11 seconds. And then the real dagger in this is that then Joseph scores a minute and 21 seconds later. So at 5:32, it's 2-0 for Tampa. So Florida had played really, really well to this point, and they're behind 2-0. And then Tampa, sensing weakness, they pressured for more. And it was almost 3-0. There was a scramble in front of that net. I don't know how it didn't go in, but it didn't. Power play then for the Panthers. They don't score on it. Their power play had problems tonight. The Panthers then press with 8.5 minutes left. They just could not get a goal. And then when it goes the other way, Tyler Johnson puts it in. Jamel Smith with the assist at 12:58. It's 3-0 Tampa. And this is where you kind of say, all right, so Tampa's got this one in the bag. Another Panthers power play. Yandel shot it wide. There was a lot of buzzing on that power play for the Panthers. Couldn't get one. Bolts managed to kill it. And then it's Johnson again with his second goal in a row from Palat and Ruda at 19:49. That's 4 goals in the second period, and one of them with 11 seconds left in the period. Amazing period of hockey. And I'm impressed with what Tampa did. And then in the third, they just kind of shut it down. The shots were 1-0 in favor of the Panthers 4 minutes in, showing they're shutting it down. Vetrano would break the shutout. He scores from Connolly and Lusterinen at 9:47, but then a little over a minute later, Volkov restores the huge lead from Smith and Joseph at 10:58. Things get kind of scrummy again. And then Barclay Goudreau, just for giggles, he gets a goal from Gord at 15:45, and your final score is 6-1 in favor of Tampa Bay. Tampa goes to 10-2-1. Florida drops to 8-2-2. So, tough night for Florida and for Tampa. First game without Cirelli and Stamkos, and Kucherov, of course, is missing the whole season. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Yeah, this was that game. So the shots were 11-4 in the first in favor of Florida. 17-14 Tampa in the second. 9-7 Florida in the third. Final shots 34-28 in favor of the Panthers. Power plays Tampa 1 for 3. Florida 0 for 4. Vasilevsky 33 saves on 34 shots. Bobrovsky 22 saves on 28 shots. Brutal night. It was a brutal night for Florida all around. And up until that Tampa power play in the second, it was a pretty good game. And then Tampa happened. All right, next up, Montreal. And what we can talk about gutsy wins when it comes to the Ottawa one earlier today. This was a nice one for Montreal. It was necessary. Montreal now has a week off. So going into that week off, you don't want to be on a 3-game losing streak. You don't want to be looking at your record and looking at the other teams in your division and saying, are we frittering away a good start to the season? It was Price versus Anderson. Early on, Lehkonen had a chance that was defended well. And then Marner scores beautiful goal. Matthews passed right to him. Hyman gets a secondary assist at 3:36. The shots were 4-1 for the Leafs at 7 minutes. Toronto was the much better team at that stage. Suzuki had a chance that was saved. The shots continued to favor Toronto at that point. Power play for the Leafs. It manages 1 shot. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1 by Montreal, but Brody defended it well. So we go to the second period. Leafs are holding the Habs off really well. Still, second period was much the same. The shot totals were pretty low. It was 13-9 in favor of Toronto halfway through the game. So 22 shots halfway through the game. The Leafs pressing. Price stopped a tip by Tavares. And the Habs just weren't generating prime scoring chances. We were going to the third period. It was a 1-0 lead for Toronto. But it felt like 4-0. But it's not. And in a third period, anything can happen. So the Leafs were 8-0 coming into tonight if they were leading after 2 periods. So when they throw a graphic on the board like that, you go, hey, you just jinxed it, didn't you? And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And we remember when they do. We just ignore when they don't. So early chances were for the Habs, and the hits were insane. The hits were like 40-8 for Montreal after 2 periods. I don't know who was counting the hits, but okie dokie. Hits are subjective. It's a subjective number. certain buildings are known to hand out hits a little bit more than others. Looking at New York with that one. Islanders. Suzuki to Anderson almost connects, and then Tyler Toffoli gets the first goal he's had in a while from Dano and Gallagher at 6 minutes and 11 seconds. So that's his 10th goal of the season, and it tied it up, and the momentum had absolutely shifted at this point. Montreal kind of takes over. Spezza had a shot that went wide as the Leafs tried to press back. This was the Habs' best period, I want to say, since they finished playing Vancouver. And then Gallagher scores from Petrie and Toffoli at 16:54. So Tyler Toffoli and Brendan Gallagher with a goal and an assist in the third period. The goaltender gets pulled for Toronto later on, and Toffoli with the empty net try that was stopped. And I thought that was key, because I thought, now, if after stopping that shot, they go down and score, but they didn't. Montreal holds on and wins this one 2-1 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Shots were 9-6 Toronto in the first, 7 apiece in the second, and then 12-6 Montreal in the third as they take over. Final shots 25-22 for Toronto. Or for Montreal, sorry. And the only power play was Toronto's. There was only one power play in the entire game. Carey Price, 21 saves on 22 shots. Freddie Anderson, 23 saves on 25 shots for a .920 save percentage. I think it's up to like a .909 save percentage now on the season. The league average is .905, so he's getting there. The league average will come up, though. It's not going to stay at .905. It'll end up around .910 or .911 by the end of the season. Just act surprised when it does. All right. Last one on this board is Columbus and Chicago. Fun game. I love games between these teams, and I got exactly the result I asked for. So, it's kind of one of those things that's like, wow, I don't usually get what I ask for. I don't know how I feel right now. So the shots were 5-3 for the Hawks at 4 minutes. And Bjorkstrand had a rush that was broken up. But then Patrick Laine gets a goal from Atkinson at 6:39. So Cam Atkinson starting to put up some points. Laine gets on the board with a goal. Power play then for the Hawks. Kane had an immediate chance on that power play. Patrick Kane playing great hockey every night right now for Chicago. Laine was off for concussion protocol. He would return to the game. The Hawks get a power play. Strong period for Korpisalo. Late in the period, Columbus gets a power play. So we go to the second period. DeBrincat with a chance was stopped. Alex DeBrincat is just, he's back. He's 100% back. Beaudin then scores from Kane and Zadorov at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So with that Beaudin goal, that makes it 1-1. And pretty evenly played. The shots were 5 apiece through 9 minutes. But then Atkinson continues his hot streak with a goal from Werenski and Jones at 14:47. So it's 2-1 Columbus. Columbus then pressed for more, and I thought Columbus played pretty well in the second half of that period. Third period, Hawks pressed at the 2-minute mark. Some back and forth play early, few chances. Columbus was really trying to trap out the Hawks in that third period, and I thought that the stat that best proves that is the Hawks had one shot 9 minutes into that third period. Columbus playing everybody back and trying to trap to a win. Stenlund had a shot that was saved at around 15 minutes. Lankinen stopped a chance from Texier. These all felt important, and they were. Laine was 1 assist short of a Gordie Howe hat trick. He had a fight in this game too. So it's interesting to go with the fight and the goal and need the assist. Soderberg, however, on a turnover that Kurashev got at 16:15, suddenly made it 2-2. So Columbus went from they're going to kill it off, they're going to win the game to, oh, whoops. And the weird thing is they did outshoot Chicago a lot in that third period, but Chicago ties it. And then the Hawks pushed for the lead, but we go to overtime. And in overtime, it did not take long. Kane to DeBrincat. DeBrincat puts it in the net at 35 seconds. And there you go. Kane and DeBrincat bringing this team to victories, and Lankinen has a really good game as well. Chicago wins it in overtime 3-2. Both teams are 7-5-4 now. Columbus was outshot in the first 14-9 by the Blackhawks. Chicago also outshot them 12-10 in the second, and then in the third, Columbus outshoots them 12-4. Chicago got the only shot in overtime. That's the shot that matters. Final shots, 31 shots each. Columbus 0 for 1 on the power play. Chicago 0 for 2. Korpisalo, 28 saves on 31 shots. Lankinen, 29 saves on 31 shots. Pretty good night for the kid. Anyways, now I need to change boards. Now, we had 7 games on at the same time tonight. So what I've started doing when there's 7 games on, I'm scrolling between 6 games. The 7th game I put on my computer here, and I have that playing behind me so I can hear the audio while I'm watching the video of all the other games. Tonight, the game that was going on behind me was Detroit and Nashville. And this game, honestly, this was a really good game. Bernier's first start in over 2 weeks. Brome, I don't know what to say about Matthias Brome now. He's not there on the scoreboard, but he's there in everybody's hearts because he's working really hard. He just doesn't have any puck luck. But puck luck belongs to Fabry, who scores on the second shot of the game for Detroit from Filppula and Hronek at 4:59. In fact, halfway through the period, the shots were 3-0 in favor of Detroit. It's one of those games that I watch and I think, did Nashville know they had a game today? So then Ernie scores from Glendenning at 12:24, and that was a bad goal. And you know it's a bad goal because Mickey Redmond said it was a bad goal, and it's a Detroit goal. Kind of along the lines of, yeah, you need to stop that. So 2-0 for Detroit. Some fight back from Nashville at this point. Bernier denied Forsberg. In the last seconds, Duchesne was robbed. And on that play, with 2.3 seconds left, the Predators get a power play. So they drive the play in the last few seconds. They draw themselves a power play. We start the second period. They're on the power play. Detroit has the 2-0 lead. But you look at Detroit's record and you say, how safe is that? So the Wings killed it off to start the second. And not only that, no shots by the Nashville power play. Rene stopped a chance from Zadina. The shots were 4-0 Wings 5.5 minutes in. So the idea that, well, Nashville will come out in the second period and show that sense of urgency, they didn't. They really didn't. This was a game that Nashville really desperately needed. And you wouldn't have known that watching the early first or early second period. Power play for the Wings. And 30 minutes into this game, so halfway through, Nashville had 6 shots. All of them were in the first period. They had no shots in the first half of the second period. Yeah. Power play number 2 for the Predators. And then 1 minute and 4 seconds of playing time later, the Predators had too many men on the ice. So they decided, well, what if we put 6 guys on the ice for the power play? That's not how this works. Predators were definitely frustrated. There was some solid, loud cursing going on during that game, which you may have heard if you watched it. And the Wings, solid defense. And then Glendenning scores at 17 minutes and 22 seconds. That's his first goal in 42 games. A long time in between goals for him. And then a post for the Wings in the final minute, and Detroit gets a power play. Now, what was interesting was in the third period, UC Saros starts the period. So after 2 goals that were probably ones he should have stopped, the Glendenning one being one as well, Rene's given the rest of the night off. The Predators kill the penalty with Saros making some saves to start the third period. Predators finally getting shots, and they score, because that's what happens when you're getting enough shots. Unless you're here, and we'll get to that game. Forsberg scores from Duchesne and Fabro at 7 minutes and 57 seconds. Close call then for the Wings, or at the Wings net with 8 minutes left. But nope. And then Mantha scores from Glendenning and Hronek at 14:56 to make it 4-1. And it's not until the 4-1 goal that you probably feel like you can relax as a Detroit fan, right? Because you're still thinking, oh, they could blow it. Power play then for the Wings. They don't score on it, but it takes 2 minutes off the clock. And then in the last minute, Grimaldi gets the goal from Fabro and Ellis at 19:13. And I think Mickey Redmond said something along the lines of no small feat. Now, Grimaldi's a smaller player, and Ken Daniels said, so no pun intended, and Mickey legit said, what pun? I had no idea. So, which I thought was great. That was kind of the moment of the night. Mickey Redmond continues to give me the best moments watching hockey games just for his commentary. It's great. Never replace him, Detroit. Detroit goes to 4-10-2. Nashville drops to 6-9 on the season. It's been rough. The shots were 9-6 in favor of Detroit in the first, 15-4 in the second period. Remember, this is a game Nashville has to win. And then in the third, Nashville finally wakes up and they outshot them 13-6. Final shots 30-23 for Detroit. Power plays Detroit 0 for 4, Nashville 0 for 2. Bernier saves 21 out of 23. Rene saves 21 out of 24. Saros saved 5 out of 6. Nashville's in trouble. They're falling out of the race. At some point this coming week, I'll do a video on the standings and how difficult it is for some teams already when you're looking at the whole math of it, the idea of them trying to dig their way out. Nashville's kind of in that position where it's going to be difficult for them no matter what happens from here. All right, moving along. Dallas. Oh man, you know, for a moment twice in this game I thought Dallas could actually beat Carolina tonight, and then each time the rug was pulled out from under me. They were wearing the Rave jerseys, which look sharp in game and all that. Early chances for the Stars. In fact, they were up 4-0 in shots 4 minutes in. They were sharp. Carolina wasn't. This is the thing. Carolina really wasn't sharp through large portions of this game. Power play for the Stars becomes 4-on-4 play. Aho had a shot that was stopped. Stars get another power play. Nedeljkovic with the penalty on that. And then late, Stars' chances were saved as well. Nedeljkovic had a pretty good game. So second period, Stars get the early shots. And I thought the scoreless tie might favor the Canes the longer this went scoreless. But then Dickinson scores from Cogliano and Como at 5:49. And at this point, yeah, the Canes just aren't getting shots. And the question mark can be, question mark is, well, is it the road trip? Is it this schedule that's really starting to get to them and maybe they're tired? And so, you could use this as a reason. The Canes then pressed with 3 minutes left. And Martinook from Gardner and Fast at 17:29. The Canes then get a power play. And on that power play, it's not, I forgot to mark it as a power play goal, but it is. Teravainen, no, this was just as the power play ended, actually. Teravainen scored from Nechas at 19:53. And I think the power play had ended 1 second earlier. So, yeah, that's a 2-1 marker. And so Dallas, who were ahead right up till 17:29 to the second period, and they had outplayed Carolina badly, suddenly they're behind going into the third period. Early in the third, it's a power play for the Canes. They score on it. It's Jordan Staal from Svechnikov and Trocheck at 2:06. Lindell had a shot that was stopped, and then Dallas, some comeback here. Robertson from Hintz and Sekera at 8 minutes and 22 seconds. Nice to see Sekera on the board. Hintz with the assist. Hintz had some opportunities tonight that were denied. The shots were 9-1 for the Stars, and yet the score was 1-1. And honestly, that Robertson shot, not the greatest. Nedeljkovic probably should have stopped that. So this could have been a 3-1 deficit if Nedeljkovic stops that. So with 1:50 left, the Stars end up with a power play. So they pull the goalie, of course. They have a 6-on-4. They do score on it. Pavelski with the power play marker from Hintz at 19 minutes and 20 seconds. So we go to overtime. And in overtime, not much. There was a lot of playing back. And then the Canes get a power play with 40.4 seconds left. And still, not much happening. So we go to a shootout. And in the shootout, the winner is Trocheck. So Carolina, one of the few teams left in the NHL without a loss after regulation. They're 9-3 now. And for Dallas, 5-4-4. It's a troubling trend for Dallas that they're not able to get these extra points. It's going to cost them. Dallas outshot Carolina 14-8 in the first period. Both teams had 7 shots in the second. Dallas outshoots them 10-5 in the third. Carolina got the only shot of overtime. Final shots 29-21 for Dallas. Carolina 1 for 4 on the power play. Dallas 1 for 3. Nedeljkovic 26 saves on 29 shots. Ottinger 18 saves on 21 shots. The kid was good. It wasn't his fault. Just that very brief period here between 17:29 of the second period and 2:06 of the third, that's all it takes. Carolina is very good at taking very small windows of opportunity and kicking them in and winning the game. And so they end up with the victory tonight. All right, next up, St. Louis and Arizona. And this game was far more entertaining than it had any right to be, considering this is the 6th game out of 7 these teams are going to play. They play again tomorrow. So 9-4-2 is the record for St. Louis now. And for Arizona, well, they wore the Space Coyote jersey. I really wanted them to win. Because everybody watching this video that's been a subscriber to this channel for any period of time, when you saw that they were wearing the Space Coyote, you're thinking, okay, if Arizona wins this, Shannon's going to wear the Space Coyote for the review. It didn't happen. The reverse retros, it didn't work for him. Garland, though, showed the magic of them 21 seconds in. Connor Garland with a goal. But Clifford gets a goal from De La Rose at 5:46 on only the second shot they had to that point in the game. And I thought, okay, so earlier we had Laine going for the Gordie Howe hat trick. Clifford's getting the goal out of the way first. He'll have the fight later. Power play then for the Blues. Coyotes got a power play after that. Both power plays continue to have their struggles. Post for Dvorak during that power play. And then Sanford, he scores from Barbashev and Krug at 13:22. So that made it 2-1 in favor of St. Louis. Power play then for the Coyotes. Demers almost had one late. And then Husso absolutely robs Keller. Ville Husso, I know the overall stats weren't fantastic for him tonight. I thought he played well. Second period. Slow start again for the Blues. The Blues don't start periods well against Arizona. At least one a game. And Barrett Hayton makes him pay from Keller and Chychrun at 5:27. The Coyotes then push for the lead, but it's Barbashev scoring from O'Reilly and Perron at 7:09. And that kind of came out of nowhere. So Barbashev gets a goal. Coyotes net pressed with 2:49 left, and Garland was absolutely robbed by Husso before the period was out. So we go to the third. Early chance for the Blues was blocked, and then Schmaltz scores from Demers and Ekman Larsson at 1 minute and 50 seconds. So Ekman Larsson on the board. He's been playing a lot of time, comes back from injury, and they're like, okay, play the entire game. So yeah, Ekman Larsson, and then the Blues with some push. However, after the halfway mark, Dryden Hunt, he scores from Fisher at 11 minutes and 27 seconds. Or 11 minutes 23 seconds, but then 3 minutes later, it's Jordan Kyrou scoring from Hoffman at 14:23 to tie the game up. So there was a lot of scoring in this game, 4-4 at that point, and you kind of felt like maybe it wasn't done. In fact, the Blues did score again. However, it was immediately waved off for being a high stick, and it was a high stick. And anybody watching that knew it was a high stick. So we go to overtime, and it doesn't take very long. Hoffman gets a goal from Sundqvist and Dunn at 1:49. So Hoffman with a goal there. He had an assist here. And so he played a role in the comeback and the victory. And that's why they signed Hoffman. The Blues win this one 5-4. They go to 9-4-2. Arizona drops to 6-6-2. And again, once these teams are done playing each other and they get to play other teams, we'll see if this has helped both teams, if it's hurt one of the teams. We'll see, right? Because they're playing each other a lot. Shots were 16-14 Arizona in the first, 14-6 Arizona in the second, 12-5 for St. Louis in the third, and then in the overtime, 2-1 St. Louis. Final shots 36-34 in favor of Arizona. Not a lot of defending going on in this one. Power plays, both teams went 0 for 2. Husso saved 32 out of 36. Antti Ranta, 29 saves on 34 shots. So, yeah, it was kind of a crazy game between two teams that are probably kind of tired of seeing each other. They're probably going to be quite happy after the 7th game is done to never see each other again. And you have to think this is going to be a record that lasts forever. We will never see a situation again where teams play each other 7 times in a row outside of the playoffs. So they'll be in the record books for good. It'll be one of those things that you can tell your grandkids about. I remember this one time a team played each other 7 times in a row in the regular season. They'll call you a heretic and they'll try to burn you at the stake. And then somebody go, I looked it up. Wow, he's right. So, anyways, last up, to finish off the night, Vancouver. And just, I was thinking of Spitting Image tonight. Now, when I talk about Spitting Image, which is the British show, which I think is pretty funny, I'm talking about the 80s version. And one of my favorite skits they ever had was when they talked about, they had this whole retrospective of Ronald Reagan's presidency. I'm that old. It's okay. I'm that old. It's allowed. And they talked about the U.S. invading Grenada, and they said, despite incredible odds in their favor, they won, which I always thought was absolutely an amazing quote. So I've used it ever since then. Despite amazing odds in their favor, they won. The Canucks tonight, there's no reason to think they wouldn't win this game other than, but it's Vancouver. So, And that was the thought process I had throughout this game. Now, I know Flames fans are mad. I saw it on Twitter. I'm going to say this. While the Flames needed this game too, Vancouver's season was on the line tonight. Now, Vancouver's not anywhere near a playoff spot with a win tonight, but their season is definitely on the line. They get a vote of confidence from the owner today on Twitter. I'm sure he's let them know in person or over the phone as well, through Zoom call, whatever it is, let them know he's giving them a vote of confidence. And so there's a lot of pressure on them. They had to break out of this 6-game losing streak, and it had to happen tonight. So early chances for the Canucks, the shots were in their favor, 6-0, 3.5 minutes in, and immediately I'm thinking, oh, again? So desperate hockey by Vancouver, but it felt like Markstrom was ready to steal another one, that Markstrom had the theft glove going, and theft pads and theft jersey, and everything's theft with Markstrom. The Canucks press with 4 minutes left. Pettersson had a chance late that was denied. 2 seconds left. Edler takes a penalty because it's what he does now. Edler just takes penalties. It's the strange strategy on his behalf. I'm not sure. It's not a winning strategy, but it's what he does. He just takes penalties. So second period, Monahan was shot blocked, and there were no power play shots by Calgary. The Flames just don't like playing in the first period. I thought I'd throw that up there. They don't play in the first period. They don't play well. They always seem to get outshot. Horvat was going to have nightmares, and may very well have nightmares tonight. Not as bad if they lost, but nightmares, because he had plenty of prime opportunities. Both Horvat and Besser were seen talking to Markstrom, frustrated because he's making these saves, and they're like, oh, come on. Like, seriously? How'd you get that? More theft by Markstrom. Backlund hadn't played in the second period, and Backlund did not return. So they were, in fact, at one point down Backlund and Lindholm. Lindholm took an elbow from Edler. I don't think Edler even knew he was there, but the Flames knew Edler was there and let him know the rest of the game that was unacceptable. And Vancouver, that's how you're supposed to react when somebody hurts one of your players. You're supposed to get mad, and you're supposed to let them know that's not acceptable. That's how that's supposed to work. So Markstrom then stopped Besser. Then Dubé got a unsportsmanlike conduct. Was it a chirp, or was it just like a punch, or what was it? I didn't see it. Canucks get a power play. Solid PK by Mackey as well. First game for Mackey, and I thought he played well. And then Hughes gets a goal at 9 minutes and 27 seconds. It's unassisted. He just said, all right, I'm just going to take this. And it was a beautiful goal by Quinn Hughes, only the second of the season. And that's the 29th shot for Vancouver in this game. 29. But then in the most Canucks thing that can happen in a Canucks game, a minute and a half later, it's a tie game. Sam Bennett from Gaudreau and Anderson. That's the 8th shot for Calgary. So I'm like, of course, the shots are 30-8 now. And it's a tie game. For Vancouver reasons. It's a new thing. And then the momentum had definitely shifted after the tie. And this is where I think everybody watching from a Vancouver perspective probably got quite nervous. Demko denied Monahan. Edler takes another penalty because this is what he does now. They're always stick fouls. This is how he plays. And it reminds me of Oland. Oland, towards the end of his time in Vancouver, it always felt like he was getting stick penalties because when you slow down and you're having a hard time keeping up, or you're just frustrated defensively, the stick fouls seem to become more of a thing. So we'll see if that's just the way it is this year, or if he gets that under control. Pearson then took a penalty, and I put right here, bonehead play. Like, that was a penalty he didn't need to take. And there was only a little over 2 minutes left in the period. So this is a tie game, and Vancouver's continually giving Calgary options and chances to get back into it. So we go to the third period. Demko robbed Monahan again. So while Besser and Horvat may have nightmares about Markstrom, Monahan's going to have Demko nightmares. Post then for Höglander as he continues to work on his cult hero status in Vancouver fandom. Fast period, too. Both teams getting good opportunities. I just didn't have a whole lot of room left on the board, and I'm like, I'm just going to document the really important stuff and just say, hey, both teams are getting opportunities. Pettersson's getting robbed. Besser's still getting robbed. This is how hockey works between these two. And Besser just couldn't. He had plenty of opportunities, just it was not going in for him tonight. Hanifin then had a shot that just deflected wide. And again, a couple games ago, that probably would have gone in. Myers then scores at 14:49. And I have to say this, it was a nice goal. Initially, they gave it to Pettersson. It looked like Pettersson had batted it over the line. That is ready to cross the line, and Pettersson batted it in. Which is a prick move. And I can say that I've done that in street hockey or floor hockey. I've done that in little pickup games, and people don't like it when you do it. So I can only imagine the National Hockey League, if you do that, it still probably looks like a prick move. That was already going in. Yeah, but I tapped it across the line. But it was already going in. It's my goal. So yeah, Myers gets that. And that's 2 goals from Vancouver defensemen, which is a rarity this year. Might be the first time this year that 2 Vancouver defensemen have scored in the same game. I'm just going to say that because I know Edler has none. I don't think Jordy Ben has any either, so it's probably not that far outside of the realm of reality that's it. Like I said, Hughes only his second. Goalie pull with 2.5 minutes, or a little less than 2.5 minutes left. And Sutter, he put that right in the middle of that empty net. There was no doubt about that one. He scores from Eriksson. Louis Eriksson gets an assist. 18 minutes and 37 seconds. Those are the little things they talk about that Louis Eriksson gets done. 3-1 win. They actually had Eriksson on a line with Virtanen and Beagle, and I thought, holy crap, there's so much money spent. That's a $12 million line. That is a line that costs the Canucks almost $12 million in cap space. Virtanen, Beagle, and Eriksson. And they wonder why they don't have any cap space. I thought that was bizarre. And yet they win the game, so okay, leave them together. I leave them together, I guess. The shots were 20-4 Vancouver in the first period. 15-8 Vancouver in the second, and 11-7 Vancouver in the third. Again, they wanted this. They knew they had to win tonight. So your final shots are 46-19 for Vancouver. These teams will meet again. At the end of the game, they let you know they don't like each other. There's a lot of dislike to be had there. Power plays, Calgary 0 for 3, Vancouver 0 for 1. Markstrom saves 43 out of 45 shots. Vancouver fans have seen this many, many times at Rogers. It's just weird to see this when he's wearing another jersey. Demko, 18 saves on 19 shots. Let us also acknowledge Thatcher Demko had a good game tonight. He did. He didn't face a ton of shots in the first period. Could have been rusty, and he wasn't. He actually played quite well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens next in this, but it's possible that while the Canucks may not be a team that ends up being in any kind of a playoff race later, they may be able to pull Calgary out of it as well. So that's something that I think Canuck fans would say, well, if we can't be in the playoffs and they can't be in the playoffs, we might take that trade. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.